Good evening, everyone. Today is the 21st of April. It's Friday evening. I've entitled this video Contempt. Contempt. Definition of contempt is the feeling that a person or a thing is beneath consideration, they're worthless or deserving scorn. A person who's held in disdain is disrespected, is depreciated, is disregarded. An attitude toward individuals which involves disgust and anger. Well, that's what is happening right now in our society against Christians. They are being held in contempt. And so people pour out their wrath, their malice, and their hatred against Christians. The wicked are contemptuous against God's people. In Job 31:34 it says, "Did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me, that I kept silence and went not out of the door?" You ever felt that way? The Lord shows contempt against people who dishonor Him. Says that Psalm 107:40, He poureth contempt upon princes and causes them to wander in the wilderness where there's no way. Daniel 12:2 says, "And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt." One of these days, these people that are showing contempt against God's people, are going to suffer shame and everlasting contentment from God, being separated from Him. Psalm 119:22 says, "Remove me from reproach and contempt, for I have kept thy testimonies." Well, if you're suffering contempt from others, just remember that God sees what's going on. He knows what you're having to go through. God hates the proud. God hates those who bring contempt against His people. Underneath us are the everlasting arms of God. When someone despises you for your faith, it says that we are to be happy, be glad. It says, "Be glad when all men shall vile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely." Someone is showing you a strong feeling of dislike or showing you disrespect for your faith, or an intense dislike for you. It says, all those who are ungodly shall suffer persecution. And so we can take comfort in knowing that God sees what's going on. You know, when you're treated like scum, when you're mocked and ridiculed and held in derision and treated as a second-class citizen, you know, when a court case was going on that I had against the state of Missouri for wrongful termination for my refusal to license and place children with homosexuals, I was held in contempt and disdain and minimized and literally cast out by the state where I was born in, state of Missouri. If you'd like my testimony of that case, I wrote a book on it called Phillips versus the State of Missouri. I'll be happy to send it to you. But God delivered us from that mess. 5-year court battle. God delivered us. There were times when I really thought we had lost the case. And I was really ready to throw up my hands and just give up. But you know, God showed us favor, and the judge ruled in our favor. The jury, it was a jury trial, and the jury ruled in our favor. But I think that sometimes when we are the victims of contempt, we need to remind ourselves that Satan hates God. You know, Satan is the prince and the power of the air that works in the children of disobedience. And so tonight, be encouraged if you're being shown contempt for what you believe. There were a lot of people in the Bible that had to be victims of contempt. Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into the fiery furnace. Samson was made a slave. There were many things that the Israelites had to go through, you know, by their enemies that came against them. The disciples were all martyred except for John, who was boiled in oil. Peter was hung upside down on a cross. Christ himself was crucified. Stephen was stoned. Paul was stoned. And so, why do we think we're any different? And I don't think it's going to get any better as this society becomes more depraved and more degenerate all the time. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Just realize if people are showing contempt against you, that is, especially for your beliefs, that's evident that you're one of His. May the good Lord be with you this weekend is my prayer. God bless.